Are you feeling the pressure? I mean, really feeling it? Juggling deadlines, chasing those targets, constantly worrying about what's next? It really feels like our modern work life is just built to create anxiety. But what if the answer to this super modern problem wasn't in some new productivity hack, but in a piece of ancient wisdom? Well, in this explainer, we're going to unlock a powerful principle from the Bhagavad Gita that offers a totally radical way to find freedom and peace right in the middle of your craziest workday.
Okay, so here it is. This is one of the most famous verses from the Bhagavad Gita, an ancient Indian scripture. Now, at first glance, it might look pretty cryptic, maybe something from a long-forgotten world. But I promise you, within these ancient words lies this profound key to mastering the art of action and just freeing yourself from all that stress about results.
And here's the translation. Now, it's kind of like a 4-part instruction, but the core message, it's revolutionary. It suggests a complete shift in how we approach our work, our goals, everything. In a nutshell, it says, focus on the action, not the outcome. Let's break down exactly what that means, because it's a game changer. So let's dive into the very first part of this verse. This idea completely reframes our relationship with every single task we do, forcing us to get really honest about what we truly control and what we don't. Think about it for a second. When you're tackling a big project at work, what do you actually truly control? You control your effort, right? Your focus, the research you put in, your creativity. That's your labor, and you have a complete and total right to it. But you do not control the outcome. You just don't. You can't control whether the client loves it, whether you get that promotion, or if the market goes your way. The fruits are influenced by a million things outside of your command. This isn't about giving up. It's about drawing a super clear line between your effort and the external result. Now, let's dig into why tying our happiness so tightly to those unpredictable outcomes can be such a huge source of stress and suffering. This is what the Gita calls the trap of attachment. You ever feel that knot in your stomach while you're waiting for feedback? Or maybe lost sleep wondering if you were going to hit your sales target? That anxiety, it comes from attaching your sense of who you are, your self-worth, and your happiness to the result. When we pin all our hopes on the fruit, our emotional state becomes this wild roller coaster, soaring with success and then crashing and burning with failure. We're essentially handing over control of our own peace of mind to things we can't control. This slide lays it out perfectly. On one side, action driven by attachment. The Gita says this comes from ignorance, this mistaken belief that what happens outside of us defines our value. It just leads to this painful cycle of craving success and dreading failure. But on the other side, action without attachment. This is born from wisdom. It fosters an even-mindedness, a kind of unshakable calm, freeing us from that emotional roller coaster and leading to real, genuine inner peace. Yeah, the text does not mince words here. It calls people who are only motivated by the results wretched. Now, that sounds harsh, I know, but it points to a deep truth. When the outcome is your only reason for doing something, you're just setting yourself up for anxiety and disappointment, because again, those outcomes are never fully in your control. Okay, so if chasing results is a trap, what's the alternative? Well, the Gita doesn't just point out the problem, it gives us a practical path forward. It's called Karma Yoga, which literally means the yoga of action. Now, Karma Yoga isn't about physical poses in a studio. It's about a mental framework. It's the art of doing your work with 100% dedication and excellence, but without being hooked on the personal rewards. It's about finding satisfaction in the doing itself, rather than what the doing gets you. And this is a super critical point. Non-attachment is not apathy. It doesn't mean you stop caring or you start doing sloppy work. Actually, it's the opposite. The Gita says yoga is skill in action. Think about it. When you're no longer distracted by anxiety about what might happen, you can pour all of your energy and focus right here, right now, into the task at hand. You actually achieve a higher level of skill. It's like a musician just lost in the music. That is skill in action. So how do we actually do this? Let's make it practical. Imagine you're preparing a huge presentation. Step 1, perform your duty. You focus on the research, you craft amazing slides, you practice your delivery until it's perfect. Step 2, abandon the fruit. Once you've done your absolute best, you consciously let go of your attachment to whether you get a standing ovation or close that big deal. Step 3, remain balanced. After the presentation, whether you get rave reviews or tough criticism, you accept it with a steady, even mind. And finally, step 4, offer the action. Frame your work not as a quest for personal glory, but as your contribution to the team's success. That helps dissolve the ego's constant need for validation. To help us really visualize this state of mind, the Gita gives us this absolutely beautiful and powerful metaphor. The image here is a lotus leaf. So, you know the lotus flower grows up through muddy water and its leaves just float on the surface. And even though they are constantly in the water, they have this waxy surface that makes the water droplets just bead up and roll right off, leaving the leaf completely dry, completely untouched. And this is just a brilliant illustration of Karma Yoga. You are fully engaged in the world, you're in the water, you're dealing with projects, deadlines, difficult people, successes, failures, the whole shebang. But by practicing non-attachment, you build this inner quality that prevents the outcomes, the water, from staining your inner peace. You can be completely involved in your life's work without being mentally drowned by it. So what's the ultimate payoff for adopting this practice? The text promises something way more profound than just a little stress reduction. It promises a state of ultimate freedom. Okay, let's translate these promises into what they mean for us today. Attaining eternal peace, that means developing a deep, unshakable resilience. Casting off good and evil deeds, that means freeing yourself from the ego's addiction to praise and its crippling fear of blame. It's about acting from integrity, not for a reward. This clarity, this freedom from doubt, it allows you to act decisively and authentically without being paralyzed by all the what-ifs. It is the freedom to bring your absolute best self to your work every single day. And that really brings us to our final thought. So much of our hesitation, our procrastination, our anxiety, it's all rooted in the fear of failure. That's the ultimate attachment to a specific outcome. So this ancient principle invites us to ask a really powerful question. If you could truly let go of the results, if you could find joy in the effort itself, and if you could act without that crippling fear of falling short,